Frontier by Maggot Moshpit, Chapter 16. Feldoh walked along the public path towards the rope that led back to the frontier. He left Chad to finish up, and Chad had given Geddio the good news, who had promptly ordered the repair crews to start their work. Having done his job, he wanted to get out of the public walkway as soon as possible. He didn't even stop to say hi when he spotted Leph, Lena, Taliko, and Yar strolling a little ways away. From the sound of laughter, it seems that Leph's mood had improved, at least a little bit. He quickened his pace when he caught sight of the rope, a bored-looking attendant helping somebody up next to it. Feldoh ran up, clamped himself on, and shot up the rope without even acknowledging the attendant's presence. He hopped off the rope and into the gravity of the loading bay, heading straight to Serleah's cabin. He knocked.
Serleah, you there?
There was quite a lot of shuffling from the other side of the door before Serleah answered.
Yes, what is it, Feldoh?
Can I come in?
There was more shuffling.
Just a minute.
Soon the door opened to Serleah, her fur looking very fluffy. Feldoh stepped inside and sat on a chair.
Sorry to bother you. You clearly just got out of the shower.
Serleah picked up a brush and started cleaning up her fur.
It's no problem. What's up?
Feldoh sighed.
Terry is here.
Oh?
Feldoh spun the chair around, looking at the ceiling.
I'm not ready to face her yet. I can't talk to her.
It seems you've got everything figured out. Why'd you come to me?
Feldoh thought about that.
I don't know. Guess I wanted your opinion.
Look, this isn't something I can just give my opinion on. I hardly know enough.
Well, you know everything.
Serleah looked at him, half her face still very fluffy.
I don't know everything. Why do you want to avoid Terry?
When I look at her, her eyes especially, I see magenta. But I screwed that up. I can't have another chance.
Serleah had not been told the name of Feldoh's wife, and she thought the name was pretty, as a passing thought.
Feldoh, what do you feel when you look at Terry?
Feldoh opened his mouth. He didn't know how he felt about Terry. Did he like her? Hell, did he love her? It didn't matter. All he saw was magenta.
I don't know.
Serleah gave him her best no-nonsense look.
Feldoh, your wife is dead. This is a fact you cannot change. Terry is not your wife.
Feldoh felt himself choke up. Serleah continued.
Maybe you screwed up. Maybe there was something you could have done, but you made a mistake. You've carried the burden of that for all this time. Don't let one mistake ruin you. If you want to talk to Terry, you should do it.
But what if I talk to her and I start to, talk to magenta? What if I can't not see magenta?
Serleah took his paw.
Feldoh, what happens next time a pine marten with blue eyes comes along? Are you just going to collapse? I know you've been through a lot, but you have to try not seeing magenta.
Feldoh's face was lined up with Serleah's, and he realized she had blue eyes. They reminded him of his wife. But of course, Serleah was still there. The hole left by his wife, his crew, would never heal. But he still had a heart, and he was starving. Feldoh stood hastily, planted a kiss on Serleah's cheek, and ran for the door.
Thanks,
he said as he left the room quickly. Serleah was left sitting in her cabin, blushing like a stoplight. Feldoh ran down the hall and into the loading bay. He jumped for the rope and grabbed it without attaching himself. He climbed paw over paw down the lifeline until he tumbled into the gravity zone, landing on all fours, running to nowhere in particular under shouts from the angry attendant. Zach, Rico, and Lenny strolled down the sidewalk towards the Frontier's passenger rope. Zach was about to start another anecdote about his time on the Frontier when a figure blew past him.
Whoa! Feldoh, slow down!
Feldoh didn't respond, and in a second he was around the next corner. Rico laughed.
That was Feldoh? You'd think he was running from a ghost or something.
Zach shrugged.
Who knows? Maybe he was.
Lenny looked back. Was he a weasel? I've never met another, member of my species before.
Close. Ferret.
Oh. They stopped walking, Zach pointing up.
Well, there she is. The utter train wreck that got us here.
The Frontier was a mixed blessing for Rico. As a cargo ship, It would have to undergo regular scans from Atrian, Yeren, and Solar Federation probes in accordance with the Intergalactic Contraband Prevention Law, not to mention the fact it seemed like it would fall apart if you looked at it funny. Rico had ways around this, but it wouldn't be easy. Then there was the fact that he couldn't bring Kane and his goons along. Kane wouldn't like it, but he would have to take a star bus. Rico chuckled to himself at the thought of Kane and his two cronies sitting on public transit next to a couple of chatty old ladies. The good part was that he had Zack's trust, surprisingly fast, too. And they were a colony ship, so they had the fast track to their destination, exempt from random searches and checkpoints. Of course, the entire crew had to have a clear criminal background, but that said nothing about passengers. Zack tapped Rico on the shoulder.
Hey, you're gonna burn a hole in the hull if you keep staring at it like that.
Oh, sorry. She's a nice ship.
Lenny grunted. No she ain't. Zack patted Lenny on the back.
You're absolutely right. But she grows on you. She makes you appreciate all the little things in better ships.
Lenny pulled out a pair of binoculars from nowhere and peered at the Frontier through them, examining the underside. Well, she looks like an H model.
For a ship that only goes L to the 3, you sure made good time getting here,
Rico said, remembering some of the specs he read earlier.
You mean L to the 4.
Zack corrected. Lenny looked at Zack through the binoculars. L to the 4, you say? H model never did L to the 4. Zack shrugged.
Imagine my surprise. It did have some custom work done on it, although why anyone would spend the time and money on a H model is beyond me.
Lenny chuckled as he turned his binoculars back to the Frontier. Next you'll be telling me there's a coffee maker in the cockpit. Rico walked over to the rope, the attendant methodically clamping him in.
Well, come on then. Not you, Lenny. I need you to open the shop for the night.
Lenny's shoulders slumped. Oh, Rick, I wanted to see the ship.
Lenny.
Okay. Rico and Zack rode the line up to the Frontier, landing safely in the loading bay. Zack held out his arm as though he was an usher at a fancy party.
And now, the main attraction.
The force field around the station dimmed, simulating night. The sun still shone in the sky, but they looked as though someone had put several pairs of sunglasses over them. Feldoh sat on a bench in the dim light, staring at the ground. He couldn't find Terry. He couldn't even find her ship, not knowing what it looked like. She could be gone, for all he knew. He heaved a heavy sigh. The universe was playing tricks on him again. He didn't look up when he heard footsteps, and soon he was staring at a pair of boots.
Hey.
Feldoh looked up. A security officer stood, tapping her foot.
The park is closed at night. Move along.
Feldoh looked down again.
Just give me a minute.
The officer saw what state Feldoh was in, and she sighed.
Oh, all right, you poor thing.
She walked off. Even through all his feelings, Feldoh found the entire situation silly. It reminded him of an old Russian fairy tale Zack had shown him, where a male bird, something that never evolved on Atria, so the concept was very strange to him, was in love with a female bird, but she didn't feel the same. Eventually he decided he didn't love her, at which point the female bird decided she did love him, and the cycle continued into eternity. Feldoh didn't know why he was reminded of this. Perhaps the irony? His thoughts were interrupted by the bump of someone sitting on the bench next to him.
I said I'd leave in a minute.
What?
Feldoh's head shot up, and his eyes were pierced with 2 blue gems.
Feldoh! I didn't know you guys were here. I just talked to Leph.
Terry's voice trailed off as Feldoh took in the details of her face, the ring of dark fur around her muzzle, her blue eyes. He had to look away.
Feldoh? What's wrong? If it's too soon.
Feldoh looked back.
No, hello, Terry.
She laughed softly.
Hello, Feldoh.
Feldoh knew he should say something, but what? Let's be friends? I love you? Can I borrow a pencil?
I accept your offer.
Terry's eyes widened after a moment of remembering.
Oh, really? Oh, of course. When can you start?
Well, after I'm done on the Frontier, I'll be around Eden in 3 months.
Terry hugged his arm.
Aw, thank you. That's pretty much when my chief engineer is retiring. This is perfect.
It's no problem. I was only going to stick around until then anyway. Not that I was going to choose any ship.
Don't explain yourself.
They sat a while in silence, Terry still holding onto Feldoh's arm. He looked down and noticed their tails had curled around each other, Terry's faintly striped caramel fur blending with his pure white. Feldoh had a crazy idea.
Terry, you want to get dinner?
She tilted her head and smiled.
I thought you'd never ask.
Rico and Zack sat in the loading bay waiting for Leph and the others to get back. Rico tossed a wrapper out the door and watched it float away slowly.
I've known party animals, no pun intended, but these guys sure stay out late.
Just as he finished his sentence, Taliko and Yar shot into the loading bay in a bundle of fur and laughter. Taliko untangled herself from Yar and stumbled up, clearly tipsy.
Hey! Zack! Stop the ship from moving!
Yar wasn't as drunk, but he was drunk enough to ignore his fear of heights.
Taliko, you're drunk. The ship stopped moving a long time ago. Oh, who's you?
Rico laughed.
I'm Rico, here to do business with your captain.
Taliko let out a gurgling sound.
Leph, guys need to lighten up. Drink a little more, like Lena did.
Zack pulled Yar to his feet.
I think you guys should go get some sleep.
Taliko grabbed Yar's arm and pulled him through the door.
Yeah, let's go to my bunk and do what people do after dates or whatever.
Yar grinned.
Can't argue there.
Rico looked at Zack.
Shouldn't we stop them?
No.
A noise made them turn around, and Leph and a very tired-looking attendant gently floated up into the loading bay, carrying Lena's sleeping form between them. Zack rushed over to help.
Leph, what happened?
Leph braced himself, but found Lena didn't weigh that much in the gravity of the loading bay.
What? Oh, she had 2 drinks. 2. Fell asleep in the car on the way here.
Zack noticed the content expression on Lena's face as she instinctively curled into a ball. Nothing serious.
Oh.
Leph smiled at Zack awkwardly.
Listen, about what I said earlier.
Zack briefly considered cutting him off and saying no problem, but he let Leph continue.
I was out of line. You're a good engineer.
But Feldoh was better, Zack wanted to say.
Damn right.
Leph spotted Rico, who waved.
Who's this?
Zack smiled.
This is our ticket to a retrofit. Rico, meet Leph. Leph, Rico.
I would shake your hand, but...
Rico chuckled.
No need.
Leph shifted Lena's weight in his arms. She was starting to get heavy.
Let's talk somewhere else. Meet me in the conference room.
He hurried as fast as he could to her room. He kicked the door open and laid her down in her bed, pulling the covers over her. He was about to leave when something made him stop. Was the alcohol getting to him? He only had 1 drink. Leph realized what it was, and he went to sit down as a preemptive attempt to prevent injury. But something was definitely different this time. Leph shut his eyes, his spine turning to jelly and his mind going blank. The pain was dull this time, not sharp, not icy. He opened his eyes, but he couldn't see. He was blind. His mind still reeling, he stumbled forward, bumping into something, sending its contents crashing onto the floor. He wasn't getting anything in his blank mind, no information, nothing. Maybe alcohol affected whatever this was. He finally lost consciousness without gaining anything. Leph had a dream, however. He was standing in space somehow, looking into Alpha 2. He could see everything from here, from the ships to the people to the finest details on the sidewalk. Leph felt sick as his brain saw everything on the station at the same time, from every conceivable angle. He saw Terry and Feldoh laughing over glasses of something. The attendant, asleep at his post. A man with curly hair talking to 2 burly men.
Leph!
He awoke, finding he was looking into Lena's green eyes.
Leph! Thank God! What happened?
He groaned and rubbed his head. He didn't remember much. Just going into the room, blank, and waking up. He tried to think, and he scraped something in his mind that caused him to shudder. Something so huge it filled him with fear. Something he couldn't begin to comprehend. Then it was gone.
I must have tripped on the nightstand.
The nightstand in question was on the floor, its contents, mostly trinkets and some jewelry, strewn about. Lena felt around his head for a bump.
I don't feel anything. Come on, lay down for a while.
Leph sat up, his head perfectly clear.
No, I feel fine. Zach wants to talk to me. I have to go.
He stood, collected the items on the floor, and replaced the nightstand. Lena stopped him before he could leave.
Wait, are you sure you're all right?
He smiled, kissed her on the forehead, and turned for the door.
I'm fine, Peach. Don't worry about it.
He walked out, leaving a very confused Lena. She flopped back in bed.
I need to drink less.
Zach and Rico tapped their fingers on the table.
Geez, this guy likes to make you wait.
Zach shrugged.
Maybe he...
Leph walked through the door and sat down energetically.
All right, how can I help you?
Rico leaned forward and went into business mode.
It's what I can do for you that's important. I have goods that have been purchased by a very wealthy collector, but I need to get them to him, and I need to soon. So, in exchange for passage to Baker Colony and cargo space under ship, I will pay for your ship's retrofit.
Leph couldn't believe his ears. That was all?
Why can't you just mail it?
Snail mail? They'd bring all the items and get there a week late. But you, as a colony ship, will be near Baker Colony in 2 days.
Leph could usually tell if someone was trying to deceive him, because it was mostly bad liars that did, but he trusted Rico, and so did Zach.
So, what exactly is it?
Well, a couple boxes full of trading cards. Just found them in an old storage locker.
Leph raised an eyebrow.
What's a trading card?
It's kind of hard to explain. An old Earth hobby or something. They're really rare and expensive.
Leph looked Rico in the eye and extended his paw.
All right, it's a deal. Bring the cargo aboard as soon as everything is fixed and fitted, and of course, we'll let you come along.
Rico stood and shook Leph's paw.
It's a deal then. Thank you for this, it's a lifesaver.
No, you saved us. We really need this refit.
Rico nodded, then yawned.
Well, it was good doing business with you, but it's late and I'm tired.
He turned to Zach.
It was great catching up with you, man. See you around.
He walked out waving. Leph slumped in his chair, his energy from a few minutes ago suddenly gone.
You used to know him?
Yeah, know him. I suppose you could say that.
Rico walked back to Curio's, smacking the front desk next to Lenny's head. Lenny snorted and shot up. Bah! I wasn't asleep.
Lenny, we got it.
Oh, nice job. Now we ain't gonna be scalped. Rico pulled out his SCOM and patched into a secure channel with practiced speed.
Kane, I've got good news and bad news.
Kane sounded irritable, though he always did.
What is it? Did you get me a ship?
Not exactly. You can't come aboard the ship, but I will keep good care of the cargo.
Kane was clearly not a fan of this idea.
What? You think I'm gonna trust you? It's out of the question. I will accompany you. Make sure you don't steal the cargo.
I already made a deal with the captain. He's going to suspect something if I just show up with a surprise passenger.
Kane chuckled.
You're a smart boy. You'll think of something.
He cut the line. Rico almost smashed the SCOM as he slid the screen violently back into the body of the device.
We might not have it.
Shit.
I'll think of something. I always do.
Rico muttered. You better. I told you this whole thing was a bad idea.
Oh, shut it.
It was very late, almost midnight, yet Terry and Feldoh walked around the same small garden, too deep in discussion to notice they had arrived at the Frontier's rope half an hour ago.
No, Batista's a great throw, but he can't block for beans.
What? You're forgetting the game between the Darts and the Knights when he blocked 89% of the shots made!
I guess. I don't know why he's my least favorite player then.
Terry grinned.
Maybe it's because his face looks like a prune.
They laughed, Feldoh swatting her shoulder with the back of his paw lightly.
It does not.
It totally does! You can imagine it on TV advertising prune juice.
Okay, you're right.
Eventually they stopped laughing, and Feldoh noticed the rope, devoid of any attendant.
Well, there's my ship.
Terry took his paw.
Feldoh, I had a great time.
Me too. Thought I'd be out of practice.
Terry giggled and swung his paw back and forth.
You aren't out of practice. Or maybe you are. And you're just a natural at showing a girl a good time.
Yes, that one.
They laughed again, and Feldoh broke the following silence.
Terry,
Yes?
is it alright if I kiss you?
Yes.
Feldoh leaned in and pecked Terry gently.
Well, see you in 3 months, then.
Yep. Safe trip.
You too.
Feldoh walked over to the rope and strapped himself in, waving at Terry as he did. As he ascended towards the frontier, Feldoh felt as though he was floating, even more than you can in zero gravity.